this the moment for Lee Fowler. It is. Take your place in Division 2, Huddersfield Town.
Ruby and Steve Simonson's boots now. He's missed! Steve Simonson clears the frame of the goal and collapses in a heap of tears. Huddersfield Town are promoted.
Mustafa Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
Hello, welcome one and all. It's January, and you know what that means. No, it's not the transfer window, but it's time to look back over the previous year via the Andy Takes That Chance Big Fat Quiz of the Year. I'll be your quiz master, Le Quizarable Matt Shaw, and for this episode we'll have 4 pairs of whoppers looking back over the last 12 months using the contemporary art form of quizzing. We have 4 teams. On Team 1, we have Neil Wayne and Jerry Hinton. It's the Danny Williams Eggplanters. And Team 2, we have Poz Weasley and Lord Voldepotter. It's the Jonathan Hoggwarts School of Quizidry. And then Team 3, fresh from the Andy Takes That Chance Academy, we have the warm-up shows Joel Granger and the dartist Josh Phillips, a.k.a. the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtons. Sorry, Josh, but you're a sub for Jay, and that's where that name's come from. Team 4, it's the House Cartspake. Team 4, it's the Housewife's favourite, Ian Kilroy's Silk, and the Muscles from Rotten Stall, Jonathan Gillespie. It's Team Venice Chris Beech. How are we doing, guys? Can't speak.
Better than you by the sounds of it.
Good. I can't speak. It's all gone to shit. Right, okay. Right, boys, so let's go through the rules of this game and how it works. We're all in partners here. So we've got Poz and Jonny, Killer and Jonny Gillespie, Joel and Josh. I think that's the first time I said your name properly as well, Joel. So we've got you guys are all in partners. The aim is to get as many points as you can. When it's one of your turn, your partner cannot confer or help, and you will take it in each turn. We've got 8 questions per round. If one of the questions has been picked, you will have to pick again. So you'll pick a number between 1 and 8. And then you will have that question. Okay, it's quite relatively straightforward, isn't it? So, boys, it's time to play the game.
It's time to play the game. Time to play the game. Ha ha ha.
Thank you to Jay for teeing us up there. Okay, boys, so round number 1. We know how this game works. Neil and Jerry, you're going first for round 1 in January. Pick a number. Who wants to go first, Neil or Jerry?
Go for it, Neil.
Let Jerry go first. That's the under bus.
Sure, I'll go first. Why not?
Yeah, Jerry, pick a question 1 to 8.
7.
Question 7. Which new signing made his debut on the 28th of January, assisted Jack Radoni to put Town in front, but then missed a header at the far post as Town conceded a late equaliser, which cost Darren Moore his job?
Oh, jeez, the QPR game. Let's see, was Bojan already in the fold yet? He came in and then he got hurt immediately. Reece Healy... Would he have been around at that point? I'm going to say Healy. I think it was Reece Healy. I feel like I remember him missing a chance somewhere along in that stretch.
There's a sharp intake of breath from Neil because it's incorrect. The answer was Radinho Balca. Reece Healy did play in that game.
He didn't miss a chance in his 7 minutes play.
When you say you miss a header, you're talking about missing a defensive header rather than missing one at the other end. I got confused. I was assuming we were talking about a blown offensive chance here.
Right. Right, Neil, pick a number 1 to 8, not including 7.
6.
Number 6. Town signed 2 strikers in this January window aimed at pepping up a misfiring strike force. Sound familiar? Reece Healy arrived from Watford, but from which club did Town sign Bojan Radulovic?
Bloody hell. I want to say I've got Helsinki in my head.
That's correct. It's a point for Neil.
Yeah.
Good job, Neil.
So we've had the Danny Williams Eggplanters have gone first, which means that we're going to have to go with our next group, and that is Killer and Jonny. So Killer, Jonny, who's going to go first?
Jonny, you go first. Go on, Jonny. My record in these quizzes, over 2024 is a perfect 0-3, I think, against Cozzy vs Killer as it went week in, week out. Jonny can go first.
The only way's up.
Jonny, pick a number between 1 and 8, not including 6 and 7 as picked by Neil and Jerry.
Well, in true Johnny Hogg fashion, I got number 6, but I'll go number 4.
Number 4. Town, of course, signed Alex Matos from Chelsea. But which football league club's academy did Chelsea pluck Matos from?
Norwich.
Correct. That's a point for the G-Man.
Jonny.
Killer, can you follow that now? You didn't think that through. You've got to follow Jonny now, haven't you? Killer, give us a number between 1 and... So, Killer, give us a number between 1 and 8.
I'll go with 8 because I think you'll run out of questions by then, Matt. You might have got a little bit easier.
Possibly. This could be... Oh, maybe I'm clutching and I go harder, but here we go. Okay, that could be misinterpreted. After the QPR game, Darren Moore was relieved of his duties on the 29th of January. Moore managed Huddersfield for 23 games. How many of those games did he win?
3 games.
Correct.
Oh,
well done, Killer. Right, we'll move on to Joel and Josh. Josh, who's going first?
Go on, Josh, you go. I'll take a back seat.
Take Josh. Josh, what number?
What's the option?
You can have 1, 2, 3, or 5.
5.
Number 5, transfers. This is the most difficult one. Brodie Spencer was on loan at Motherwell and returned to Huddersfield this month. Which other Town player also returned from a loan from the SPL and he was playing for Ross County?
No. Sorry, don't know. Failed
Scott High. Joel,
yeah. What about him?
pick a number between 1 and 3.
1.
Number 1. This is a horrible one as well, Joel. Question 1. Town opened the year with a 4-1 defeat to Leicester. What year did Town last win a match on New Year's Day? I'll give you a clue. It was before you were born.
Yeah, that's not ideal really for me, is it? What year? 1998. Complete stab in the dark.
So close. 1997. Town beat Stoke 2-1. Also, bear in mind for anyone listening, we don't always play on New Year's Day. Sometimes it's the 2nd or 3rd, so it's probably not as bad as it sounds. Right. It's down time to Team Jonathan Hoggwarts. Are we going to go with Ron Weasley or Lord Voldepotter first?
Go on, Poz, you're the famous Town fan.
Go on then. Well, I won't go that far, mate, but we'll go 3 to celebrate the thrice champions.
A nice easy one for Mr. Poswaldo.
Well, you say that, but...
Number 3. Who became Huddersfield Town's first signing of the January window on the 4th of January?
January. Radulovic?
Is incorrect. It was Alex Matos. Which leaves John with a rather difficult question 2. And John, who came in at that game? So when it's Huddersfield Leicester on New Year's Day, who came in for the game as a sub on 37 minutes for only their 2nd league appearance for Huddersfield Town?
What on earth?
He was pretty naff as well on the day.
Lorcaina.
Oh, see, John beat Cozzy Killer in the quiz that we did, and he's got another one. He's got him off to the side. Look at Poz's surprise there. Poz was like, "Oh, I've gone to a winner here."
That's great knowledge. That is great knowledge.
Right, so the topic for this month, January, Killer Jonny. So, Darren Moore was removed from post at Huddersfield Town after the I think it was a draw, wasn't it, against QPR? Things didn't really go well for Darren Moore. There was just no. I think the word when you talk about Darren Moore's tenure at Huddersfield, I think the word that would describe it perfectly is flaccid. Shite or flaccid, pick one. Yeah.
Flaccid. Gotta be flaccid.
Go on, Killer.
Do we have to really Darren Moore? Do you know what? I thought we'd come here a nice Friday night, nice quiz. Me and Jonny will win something for a change, and we'll have a nice, lovely time, and we're having to go back over the Darren Moore situation. But to be honest, to Darren, I think he had a tough job coming in following Neil Warnock. Nothing was going to be easy there for him, was it? He couldn't have asked for a worse kind of lead-in in that Warnock left when nobody wanted him to, because there was a little bit of a ding-dong with the chairman, pretty clearly, and a few words said afterwards in press conferences that didn't go too well. He was removed, and Darren Moore came in, and I don't actually think anyone else could have come in at that point. Had it even been Michael Duff then, I don't think it had worked out either. I think it was a poison chalice from the off. That said, Darren Moore was very questionable when it came to his tactical decisions on the field or lack of tactical decisions. And to me, it started pretty earlier than 2024, in that Ipswich game at home where we were leading 1-0, and then towards the end of the game, he took off Nakayama. I think was he injured, Matt Nakayama? I think at that point when there was an argument after that he was injured, but he wasn't injured. But he changed 3 players very quickly, and all of a sudden, Ipswich suddenly looked a better team and got themselves a draw out of it. But we should have had 3 points that game, and from then on, the kind of rot set in. We had a few lovely games. I don't want to mention which games. We know which game we're on about. We know which away game we had to all suffer through. One of the worst individual performances by a Town player in the history of Huddersfield Town. But it just never got better for him. And then I think Kevin Nagle made it a little bit tougher for him when he said he supported him. He said he supported him. He said he supported him. He's our man. He flew over for a game. Was it the Plymouth game at home where it just all changed all of a sudden when Kevin saw the animosity of the Town fans in regards to Darren Moore's tenure at Town, and from then onwards he just wasn't great. But he just was the wrong man for the job. But I don't think anyone would have been right. But it was unfortunate for everybody, wasn't it?
It's hard, isn't it, when you follow in the footsteps of a legend, isn't it, Jonny? Because Neil Warnock was well loved at Huddersfield. So, like Killer says, anybody was onto a hiding to nothing, really.
Yeah, they were. It's the man after the man. We've had that a few times in recent history with Town, haven't we? I think, come forward after Warnock, the way Warnock went, obviously there was a bit of an incident, a bit of a spat, like you say, which didn't make it an easy way for him to come in. But he's touched on those January fixtures. Obviously, it wasn't great before January, but I remember I was at the Blackburn game, and obviously after the Plymouth draw, we had those 3 games, Plymouth, Blackburn, and QPR, and really we kind of needed to win all 3, at least kind of get 7 points from them. And if you like casting our minds back, the Plymouth game, obviously we drew that. The Blackburn game, it was that pass from Hogg, if you remember, where he cut it across in the front of the box, and that was a goal that they scored. And the QPR goal was where Balker just ducked. The ball came in. I can't remember what minute it was, but it was very, very late. The ball gets whipped in from the right-hand side, and he just ducks, and then the keeper... I remember at the time, that was his last game, I think, because it was trade to Sheffield Wednesday. But I do think there's Darren Moore look at those 2 games and think, well, we were... It's if buts and maybes, but we were a pass from arguably your captain, your most experienced midfielder. We should never make, and I know he's had a few mares over the years, but more often than not, he's been relatively solid in that position. And your new centre back you've just brought to the club, just all you've got to ask him to do is head the ball, and he doesn't. If buts and maybes, but those 2, we were quite close to getting 6 points out of that game, and that might have extended Darren Moore's tenure. Whether that would have made it any better or worse, I don't know, because obviously we went on to have a reasonable run after that under Worthington. But certainly January, I think it's something that Moore might look back on, and maybe not so much now, but certainly when he lost his job, I think he was very, very close in those fixtures to actually potentially get in those points. And individual errors kind of cost him. But equally, at the time, I remember thinking, hopefully we've got a opportunity to bring someone else in who could try and just do something a little bit more, because I don't think Darren Moore was necessarily, like Killer said, the right man for that. And it's those famous words that Cartwright said that, I mean, we've got the opportunity now to bring someone in who we've got the only opportunity now to bring them in. They've been on our list. We've got to go and get them. And we're all thinking, who is this? Who is this person that's going to come in who we've obviously pushed one up to the side for? He's obviously going to be a big name. Who is he going to be? and then Moore steps in. And again, that's not against Moore, but it's the build-up that he was given as well. I think from that point onwards, the writing really was kind of on the wall.
Thanks, guys, for that. Okay, so scores on the doors at the end of round 1. The Danny Williams Eggplanters have 1 point. It's Team Venice Chris Beech out in front with 2. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtons have got 0. And the Jonathan Hoggwarts School of Quizidry have 1 point. Okay, moving into round 2. Okay, we'll have opening round 2. We're going to go with Team Venice Chris Beech. Killer, it's your turn. Pick a number between 1 and 8.
I'll take 8 again, Matt. I'll go 8 again if it's available.
It is available. So Town's injury jinx reared its head. Which defender was ruled out for the rest of the season on the 6th of February with a hernia?
Ooh, was it Naka? It was Naka. Was it Naka?
It was knackered, but it wasn't Yuta Nakayama.
Okay.
The man ruled out was Josh Ruffles.
Okay.
Jonny, pick a number between 1 and 8, not including 1 and 3.
6.
Number 6. I haven't even put the answer for this one. I'm so well prepared for this, but I do know it. Okay. Town came from behind to win 2-1 at Watford. Who came off the bench to score twice?
I think I answered it, but I don't think he scored twice. But I'm sure it is him, Cian Harrott.
It is not Cian Harrott. It is Danny Feed the Ward.
No.
Cian Harrott was the year before under Warnock, wasn't it, with the header?
Right.
Okay. So we are moving on to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtons and a chance to get a score on the board. And Joel, it's you who is up next. You can pick number 2, 4, 5, 7.
We'll go number 5 in tribute of the late Michal Helik.
The late Michal. Poor man's dead. Didn't even realise. Joel's killed him off. Sorry, Oxford. Right, okay. Question 5. Town were gut-punched at home to Hull City when Greaves scored a 94th minute winner. But who had just equalised for Town in the 92nd minute?
I'm pretty sure it was Jack Redoni, wasn't it?
It was Jack Redoni. There's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtons out on the board. Josh, what number are we going for?
It's 3 left.
2, 4 or 7, sorry.
We've got 7.
Number 7, Andre Breitenreiter was named the new Huddersfield Town manager. He stopped David Wagner from winning the league in Switzerland when Wagner was at Young Boys in 2022, which led to David Wagner then losing his job. Which Swiss team did Andre Breitenreiter manage to the title?
No. Not doing very well here, am I? I guess. Zurich.
Oh, it's a good guess. It's a point. Josh is on the board. FC Zurich is the correct answer. Full points for Joel and Josh. Right, it's time to see some magic. We go to the Jonathan Hoggwarts School of Quizidry, and first up is Lord Voldepotter himself, aka John Joe Shelby, aka Johnny Mac. You can choose number 2 or number 4.
Give me number 4. Give me number 4.
Number 4. Town won more games in February than any other month in that season. Town beat Sunderland 1-0 with a goal from Matty Pearson. Sunderland would go on to fire their manager a couple of days later. Who was that manager?
Michael Beale. The weirdo.
His social media patter is incredibly questionable, isn't it? So that is a point for Jonny. Poz, you are left with number 2. And it's a question about a fellow ginger, which must please you. John Worthington took charge.
We're all friends and related as gingers, that, yeah.
God, yeah. Well, you are with this one, I think. John Worthington took charge of the game against Sheffield Wednesday. John Worthington had a successful career at Huddersfield Town from the age of 9 before leaving to join Oldham in 2009. I'm not going to ask you which junior team that he played for, Poz, because it's the same one you coach at. However, Worthy returned in 2015 to Huddersfield Town. But what was his first role at the club?
Oh, I'm sure it was something medical rather than coaching related. I don't know the specific title, but
well, I mean, there's one title, isn't there, for someone who works in medical?
I'm gonna say like physio. Physio then.
It's not club. They didn't do 5 years at the.
No, but you know what? Footballs like these have got very specific titles, and I know what you're very pedantic.
They do, yeah. I mean,
I'm gonna go with
2015
physio in some capacity.
First team or academy? Sorry, Poz. First team or academy?
Oh, academy.
Correct.
Yes.
Jonathan Worthington was the academy physio when he came back to Huddersfield Town. Well done, Poz. Round 2. Neil, pick a number 1 to 8.
3, please.
On the 10th of February, Town scared Southampton at St Mary's by going up 3-2 up before a late comeback from the home side. Alex Matos scored his first goal for Huddersfield Town. But who else scored their first goal for Huddersfield Town that day?
I remember Matos says it took a wicked deflection. Ridiculous game to watch that. I want to say Kasumu.
It's another one for Neil. It's 2 points for the shithouse. Jerry, pick a number 1 to 8. Not
sure, let's go number 1 this time, please.
Number 1. Huddersfield opened February with a rousing win over Sheffield Wednesday, 4-0. Town, however, didn't open the scoring until the 68th minute. Who was the man who scored the opening goal?
Kuroma scored twice, but I think he scored the second and the third ones. God bless. I knew the ones you asked Neil, of course, right? Like, as soon as he brought up the Southampton game, I'm like, it's Kasumu.
Yeah, I knew that.
I don't think it was Healy. I don't think it was Ward. It was, I'm going to say Rudoni. Was it Jack Rudoni?
It was not. It was Matty Pearson. Right, that is the end of round 2, February. Neil, Jerry, let's go to you guys. So the topic for this month is John Worthington. So he came in following Darren Moore, and he really sort of picked Town up by the jockstraps, didn't he? And he brought some excitement and some passion back to the club, didn't he? I mean, John Worthington's a big asset to Huddersfield Town, isn't he, Neil?
Huge. I think it was exactly what we needed at that time. I think homegrown, one of our own, if you like. The fans really sort of galvanised everything around him. He galvanised everything in the dressing room. We looked transformed, didn't we, for that spell? And I think, having suffered what was suffered watching previously, I think it was nice just to see the breaks come off. And I think that the Southampton game that we just mentioned in the quiz, I think that sort of epitomised Worthington's approach. Let's just go and have a go rather than settle for or try not to lose. Let's just go and try and win. And I think as a fan, you'd rather see us go and try and win and get beat 5-3 than go and try and not lose and lose anyway.
Jerry, what was it like from the outside? And obviously, Huddersfield Town were miserable at that point, and then all of a sudden, it's exciting again.
I mean, Neil alluded to it. It's to go from the Darren Moore ball, and maybe that's not all on Darren Moore, but it just everything felt so lifeless. Like even just watching the stream, you don't have to be in the stadium. You watch, Town struggle, just week after week. Not even like just to score goals, but just to, there's a phrase that gets brought up. You might hate this, Matt, in basketball defense a lot, where you want to make your opponent feel you. Like you want them to know you're there, right? You don't want to just stand back.
I need to clarify that.
You
Jerry,
don't want
for us.
to just stand back and let them do whatever. You want them to know that you're there. And under Darren Moore, it never felt like Huddersfield Town made their opponents know that they were there, right? It was just passive, kind of contain things. We'll see what happens. And under Worthington, that changed. Like, again, 4-0 over Sheffield Wednesday. That wasn't the pathetic Sheffield Wednesday we saw at the beginning of the season when Town, went to Hillsborough and, just kind of, there was a nothing match where nothing happened the entire time. This was, a Danny Roll Sheffield Wednesday side that kind of knew what they were doing, were on their way back up the table, and Town whipped them. And it was a joy to watch. Once they got on the front foot, they stayed there, which is another thing that didn't happen under Moore. Again, to contrast with, some of these other, I think the Wednesday match earlier in the season, under Moore, when they got a little bit of forward momentum, if they actually managed to go in front, then that was it. They didn't try to go for the throat. They didn't go for that second goal, that third goal. And under Worthington against Wednesday, they got the first one, and then they got the second one. They got the third one. Karoma was on fire. And then we saw it again against Southampton. They didn't get to 2-2 and say, okay, well, we're on the road. Let's all back up and we'll play for a point. This would be great, right? Like, we're at St. Mary's. We're going to get a point from Southampton. This would be terrific. And they didn't play like that. They actually went. They got the goal to go in front 3-2, and it didn't work out. But, it was such a breath of fresh air to watch a team that actually seemed to say, we believe we can win games instead of just not lose them.
Okay, so at the end of round 2, the scores on the doors are the Danny Williams Eggplanters have 2 points. Team Venice Chris Beech have 2 points. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtons have 2 points. And now out in the lead is the magicians themselves, the Jonathan Hoggwarts School of Quizidry, on 3 points.
We are top league.
As we head into round 3, March 2024. Okay, first up this time round is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtons, and it'll be Josh Phillips to pick first between numbers 1 to number 8. And you can't pick 7 or 2.
Okay, we've got 4.
Number 4, Town lost 1-0 to Cardiff. Who was the striker that Neil Warnock tried and failed to sign in the summer window for him to come back and bite us in the backside by scoring the winner in this game?
Let myself down here. Sorry, I don't know. It's no,
it's Famara Deju. Joel.
Yeah.
We'll go for number 3, if I can have number 3.
You can indeed have number 3. Huddersfield Town played Rotherham this month, but how many games did Rotherham win altogether in the 23-24 championship season?
I'm going to say 4.
You're very close, Joel. It's 5. Okay.
That's a hard one.
Next up, it was pretty tough. Both of them got tough ones. Next up, it's Team Venice Chris Beech, and I believe we're going to Mr. Gillespie.
2? It's not going. I wasn't concentrating on numbers.
You can have number 1, 5, 6, 7, or 8. 1, 5, 6, and 8.
I'll go 1.
Number 1. Town didn't win a single game in March, but started it with a draw against the Chesties. Town went 1-0 up thanks to Michael Helik, but moments later were down to 10 men when Jonathan Hogg elbowed which Leeds player?
Oh, it's not Ampadu. He's the one who comes in and starts pointing, doesn't he? Like weighs him off. Who is it?
Correct.
Right in front of me as well. That. I'm gonna have to guess. Joe Rodham.
It's not. No, it was Junior Firpo. Killer.
No, I'm going to change the tack to you, Matt. You always change if you've lost. You don't continue, so I'll go 6.
Number 6. Town lost 4-1 at home to West Brom after a spirited first half. Who gave Town the lead only to be booked for celebrating?
Jack Redoni, I'll go with.
Incorrect. It was the Doctor, Delano Bergzorg. So no points for you guys in that round. Which means, Jerry, pick a number 1 to 8.
I should let Neil pick for me since he's been picking the questions I know the answers to. Give me a number, Neil.
Go 7.
All right, here we go.
He might not thank you for this. Jerry, Town's home game against Leeds was the biggest attendance of the season. What was that attendance? But I will give you 500 each way. So, for example, if it's 50,000 and you say 50,400, I would give you that.
All right, I should have picked the number maybe. I'm going to say 11,749.
The hell, Jerry?
I'm 10,000 on. I think you're about right.
Yeah, I'll let you pick again, Jerry, considering that the stadium holds 24,500.
All right, let's say 23,749.
No. 22,351 was the crowd, so I would have given you 500 either way. But unfortunately, Jerry is still on nil as we go into the Ides of March. Neil. They don't call him the shithouse for nothing, Jerry. Neil, pick it up.
Number 2, please.
Number 2. This is an interesting one. Neil, things look bleak in March as 2 defeats were followed by a 0-0 at Rotherham, who hadn't seen a point in literally forever. Who was sent off after 58 minutes, ruining Town's ascendancy in that game?
It was ridiculous. Danny Ward.
Not in March, no. It was Sorba Thomas.
Oh, it was Sorba Thomas. Danny Ward.
Yeah. I didn't realise I'd written a curveball there. That's true. We've had 2 sent off in the same.
2 off.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Question later on about Danny Ward being sent off as well.
Thomas was just 2 ridiculous, classic attacking midfielder doziness.
Petty words, wasn't
Thomas, really.
Right.
Back in it there, Jenny. Own goal there.
I know, which means the Jonathan Hoggwarts School of Quizidry are in the lead and could extend it even further if Poz picks a good number. Poz, you can have number 8 or number 5.
I'll go number 5, please, Matthew.
Who scored his first goal for Huddersfield Town in the 3-1 home defeat against Coventry?
Ooh. First goal. First goal ever or first goal that season?
His, both.
New signing. Healy?
Cogs are ticking.
Yeah, Healy.
It's Reece Healy, that's a point for the Poswald.
Get in.
Which leaves...
Can I take number 5, please?
That was number 5. Second. Hang on, you might just have to...
I reckon number 8's the easiest. That's when you get lazy with your questions.
Yeah, that's what Killer thought.
I've not even finished number 8's question here. I've deleted it by accident. Half of
You're just going to make it up.
I know what it is though. Right, I know where it is. Right. John, question 8. In Town's March fixtures, Leeds, Cardiff, West Brom, Rotherham, Coventry, they only had one game where they dominated possession and XG. Where they had a higher possession and a higher XG. Which game was that?
Rotherham.
Surprisingly not, it was Cardiff.
Cardiff, as soon as I said that, I knew.
Right. The topic for March, we'll go to Joel and Josh. I keep almost saying Jay because it's Jay and Joel. Everything's Jay and Joel, isn't it, with the post-match and stuff. So it's Josh and Joel this time. Doesn't quite roll off the tongue as well. Sorba Thomas, I mean, there was that silly red card against Rotherham, which was incredibly petulant. At this point, you can kind of see the sort of strings tearing and tethers breaking a little bit in terms of what talent. That Rotherham game really sort of stung us, I think, in terms of hoping to stay up. Rotherham hadn't won in forever. And then Sorba Thomas gets himself sent off after 58 minutes. I mean, how do you feel about Sorba Thomas now? He's kind of left the club. He's left he's on loan at Nantes. It seems like future-wise, he probably doesn't have much of a future because Nantes have got the option to make it permanent. Whether they do or not is another thing. How do you both feel about him? Because you've gone from this guy who's come up from non-league and he seemed kind of really grateful and humble to get this chance to this sort of guy at this point who's quite petulant and seemingly not following instructions. And later on, you'll see Andrea Brighton blatantly digs him out at some point, doesn't he? What are your feelings towards him at the moment? Because it's tricky, isn't it? Because you don't forget the 21-22 season where he was amazing, wasn't he, with the set pieces, and him and Poz used to dance together, didn't you, Poz, at the cowshed end there with the songs going and what have you. But how would you sort of describe his time at Town, and is it over basically? We'll go with.
Yeah, I think it's a tricky one really, because as a player he's really, really, really exciting to watch when he's on form. His form kind of is a little bit here and there, I think, but for me the biggest bummer was always his attitude. I think when he burst onto the scene in 21-22 under Corberán, he did give off this impression as kind of just being like happy to be there. But I think he almost got too good too quickly and probably got a little bit lost in his own head. And I think we saw the result of that, and that's why I ended up going out on loan to Blackburn under Fotheringham. And to be honest, I thought his time at Town was done then, but he came back and in classic Warnock fashion, he kind of put an arm around him, didn't he, and kind of brought him back into the fold. And I think at points last season, I remember that period John Worthington had against Sheffield Wednesday and that incredible match away at Southampton. I know we lost, but he was really good in both those games, and I thought that maybe he'd kind of started to pick up. But you're right, that Rotherham game was just a sum of his attitude, and I think he's the kind of player who you can't really rely on. And in a team where you need spirited characters and a strong group of players who are all pulling in the same direction, I'm just not sure he's capable of that.
Go with that, Josh.
Yeah, he's got a lot of ability. Can't deny that. I think he's a good championship player. I might be wrong, but I think he extended his contract after the playoff final loss. I think it's between
just
the
before,
lot.
just before.
Just before. Yeah, and then Carlos left, and I think he probably maybe regretted signing a new contract. Maybe thought the club was going to be, repeat that season again. And then he maybe got a bit frustrated that the club maybe didn't match his ambition. I don't think he seems like the brightest lad, to be honest, with some of the stuff that he's done. Obviously, he's got some awful abuse, which no one deserves. But I don't think he's helped himself either at times. Brighton Writer, he was definitely part of that group that he was digging out. But saying that, he did keep playing him. So, if you're gonna be, he can't have been. Kept playing him because of his ability, really, didn't he? Hoping that he'd produce something because we didn't have much quality. But I'd be surprised to see him play for Town again. He'll probably come back and do pre-season as they tend to do. But depending which division we're in, I'd expect him to move on in the summer.
Right, so at the end of round 3, let's see what the scores on the doors are. George Dawes, Johnny Mac. Okay, after round 3, we have, in the lead, we have the Jonathan Hoggwarts School of Quizidry with 4 points. And all in joint second place, we have the Danny Williams Eggplanters, Team Venice Chris Beech, and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtons. Okay, boys, round 4, and this is where it starts cranking up a little bit. April and May, we're coming towards the end of that horrible 23-24 season, and soon we'll have nicer things to talk about and discuss and quiz on. Right, okay, first up in round 4. Okay, so we have Neil and Jerry. Right, boys, round 4. Neil, pick a number.
Number 8, please.
Number 8. Andre Breitenreiter era ends with how many wins in 13 games? I'll read that again. The Andre Breitenreiter era ends with how many wins in 13 games?
Not a lot. I'm going to go 2.
Correct. That was wins against Millwall and Watford. Well done. Jerry, pick a number.
All right, well, it can't get worse than last time. 6.
Number 6. I think you'll get this, Jerry. Number 6. Town's relegation was all but confirmed after a 1-1 draw at home to Birmingham City. Which former Town player started in midfield that day for Birmingham?
Juninho Bacuna.
Correct. Jerry's on the board. Fantastic. Okay, so Team Venice Chris Beech. I believe Mr. Kilroy Silk is first up.
Right. Go with number 1 if that's available, Matthew.
It is indeed, my good man. Town went to Stoke on April 1st. With the game at 1-1, who fails to cross to Reece Healy for a tap-in and instead shoots and misses from a stupid angle, which led to pretty much everybody having a meltdown in Huddersfield that night?
Oh, right. It's got to be. I'll either go with Karoma or Radoni. But back then, I don't think Karoma got too much game time, so I'll go with Jack Radoni. Because he was falling out of everyone around that time. Really?
Get your stethoscope out because, again, once more, killer, it was Delano Bergzorg.
Oh, yes. I do remember that one. I do remember that one, unfortunately. Yes, I was there for that one.
Still, I had to watch it again earlier to make sure it was him, and it made my blood boil again. Jonny, you can't have number 1, 6, or 8. What are you going for? 4. Right, this is a nice, easy one, Jonny, because I think this name was on the cursed lips of every Huddersfield Town fan for a long time. Question 4. Bristol City 1, Huddersfield Town 1. Who was the referee that gave an abomination of a penalty in injury time from which Naki Wells scores?
So I'm like 8% certain I've got a name right. This could be some random person that I'm thinking about. Sure, it's Rebecca Welch.
It was Rebecca Welch, so that's a point for Jonny, which leads the Silkmen to 3 points. Next up, we've got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtons. I believe it's Joel first.
Number 7, please.
Number 7 for Joel. The uninvited guests. Huddersfield Town went to Ipswich on the last day of the season and lost 2-0 to cap a miserable season. Who made their away league debut for Huddersfield Town that day? And you can see I'm struggling for questions at this point.
It was Neo Eccleston, wasn't it?
It was not.
Was it not? No.
Iapenda.
It was Tom Yapenda, yeah. Okay, Josh.
Yo, I'll pick a number.
Yep.
Sorry. 3?
Number 3. This is a shocker as well. Town are 1-0 up at Preston at halftime, but combust in the second half and lose 4-1. Who came off the bench for Preston to score an 8-minute hat-trick?
I have to have a guess. Thinking either Reece Jacobson, Emma Reece, or Brad Potts, is it? I go Reece, Emma Reece.
It was not. It was Militon Osmajic.
Oh, just about to say him.
Who came on and set us in. Right, so to the school of Quizidry we go. Mr. Potter.
What number have you got?
You can have number 2 or number 5.
Number 5, please.
Sorry, I didn't hear that, John.
Number 5.
Number 5, a nice easy one. Town 0, Swansea 4. This was the day it all hit home, really. Town capitulated in the second half again, and which player bore the brunt of this result in Andre Brightonwriter's next press conference for his lack of tracking back?
It was Sober Thomas.
It was indeed Sober Thomas. Pozza, that leaves you with question 2.
Yes.
And this is a nice question where you think it's going to be easy and then it's not. 6th of April, and Town beat Millwall 1-0 with a 94th minute winner by Reece Healy. But who got booked for time wasted in the 97th minute? This is both easy and hard.
Well, you throw me by saying it's easy but hard, because you'd expect it to be somebody maybe after a goal. But given his general time-wasting antics, I'm going to go Lee Nichols from a...
It is Lee Nichols, that's correct. The shithousery was alive and well.
He loves the
Poz
time
and Potter,
waste.
while we've got you there, Andre Brightonwriter, how is this era going to be remembered? This 13-game era, how will that be remembered by Huddersfield Town folklore?
Unmemorable, I think, is probably a good word to sum it up. Matt, you said we had this little segment, and I was struggling to remember out from it, to be honest. Obviously, he wasn't in charge for a massive period, 13 games, I think he did. I did quickly check, and he only had 2 wins, 5 draws, and 6 losses. So not a memorable period by any stretch of the imagination. Obviously, he was there when we actually got relegated, so people will probably just remember, the fact that he was in charge when we actually went down. But yeah, we're a bit of a damp squib on it when he came in. Usually, you get a new manager in, and things change, and your fortunes have a little bit of a the new manager bounce, which we never really seemed to get under Brightonwriter, which was a shame. And I don't know, I just think back to his time towards the back end and his comments that he made. He gave a couple of kind of scathing interviews, didn't he, where he sort of called players out. I think he questioned the team spirit. He didn't name names, but it was quite obvious who we were talking about. He sort of said, I think there's a quote that I jotted down. I cannot tell you the problems, but if I did, you would understand what I mean. So I think he was just frustrated. I think he was one of those managers that potentially a good manager, but just came to us totally at the wrong time. It seemed a large group of the players had down tools, and he made reference to the pre-season, which with the Cornwall tour, which I know a lot of fans kind of questioned at the time, but because it was Neil Warnock, again, it got kind of overlooked, as in Warnock always did this, and he seemed to allude to the players were unfit, and I don't know, it just didn't seem to come in and have that respect or impact, potentially due to the group that were there at the time, kind of calling the shots, really. And if they decided to down tools, I think there's very little you can do as a manager, isn't there, when your senior players are seemingly not bothered. It's really difficult to get people on side. And I think when the Birmingham game, when he chucked, I think someone just mentioned, where he chucked Thomas on as a sub and just kind of hung him out to dry, he basically alluded to Thomas not been trying and stuff, and then actually put him on, and it were almost like, look, I'm putting him on now so you can have a go at him. As fans, I've told you what he's like, and this is your 15-20 minutes now to have a pop at him, kind of thing. So I think we walked into a bad situation. I think it were a bit of a stormy dressing room, a bit of a bad time. Like I say, it's really difficult to come in and kind of change that around if you don't instantly command respect. I would imagine not many players have even heard of him at that point, so it's not like someone coming in who's got a bit of pedigree. And yeah, I think the phrase to sum it up would be probably right man, but wrong time. A little bit similar to Darren Moore, really. It just didn't work out, did it? And once he'd kind of lost his rag, mutual consent were given, but I dare say it were more him kind of quitting rather than us, sacking him at that point. So yeah, a bit of a shame, really, because I did like the way that he talked early doors, and he did come with kind of the ideas, that were different to Darren Moore, but yeah, just wrong time, really, wrong set of circumstances for him, unfortunately.
I think the one thing that stands out as well, Poz, was that Ipswich game on the last day where Ipswich score and he holds Radona after 29 minutes, just because he were playing like I think he was one of the players that he was mentioning, for unprofessionalism, by all accounts. Maybe not. Don't sue me. But But, him taking him off and then the comments afterwards, you put 2 and 2 together, don't you? But John, round us up then on Brighton Writer. What was... I think I agree with Poz, right man, wrong time, wrong squad kind of thing. Just round us up on it.
Yeah, so I think I'm in the same sort of category as Poz. I was really excited about Brighton Writer when he first came in. I thought he had a good pedigree. I thought it was just what we needed as well. And if you look back to that Worthington period when we were playing high-pressing football, we were playing exciting, entertaining football. I know that we didn't really have the fitness to carry that on. And, you mentioned the Cardiff game earlier, that Cardiff game where we had all that possession and all that XG. And I think the thing with Brighton Writer is I was just a little bit disappointed with his approach. So in the end, I think he opted for control. I think he opted for more of kind of what we'd done before. He kind of he just abandoned that gegenpressing style that Worthington had gone for. I remember watching some of his press conferences and he just kept talking about repetitions and stuff, and it kind of sounded like he was doing a conservative sort of cautious approach, trying to kind of like slowly build the confidence and stuff. And it was so frustrating to watch, to have seen that we had all these similar problems with the Darren Moore and Worthy came in, and I wasn't one of those that were saying that Worthy should have got the job and he was amazing and he was this and that, but it just showed what this team could maybe do with a little bit of freedom, a little bit of the handbrake off. And then you just had to watch Brighton Writer come to the same realizations that Darren Moore had come to and previous managers had come to. And yeah, again, like Poz, when you sent this message through, I had a look at, April and May. I think we won 1-7 and we drew 3 of the games, and all the draws were just the same sort of boring, insipid 1-1 draws that we had under Darren Moore. And I say maybe with a full pre-season, Brighton Writer would have been a great manager. But he was too cautious, he was too conservative, and then in the end, when he needed to throw caution to the wind, we were down effectively, and then he fell out with a lot of the players. And all in all, it was a horrible time to be a Town fan. That Stoke game as well, when Bergzorg was, didn't square the ball. I just remember every single week being absolutely furious at 5 o'clock, and I hated watching Town. And yeah, I don't ever want to think about it again.
That's a great way to round that up. Right, so at the end of round 4, we have in first place the Jonathan Hoggwarts School of Quizidry with 6 points. In second place is the Danny Williams Eggplanters with 4. In third, playing catch-up, we have Team Venice Chris Beech with 3 points. And then in last place, we have the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtons with 2. But as we move on to this season, surely with things fresh in the mind, Joel and Josh will pull things around. So, who's up first? So I think first we'll go with the Jonathan Hoggwarts School of Quizidry, and I believe Mr. Porritt can take the first question. Pick a number, Poz, between 1 and 8, not 3 and 4.
I'll have 6, please, mate.
Number 6. Who scored their first ever headed goal in the EFL against Stevenage?
First ever headed goal. Karoma and Wiles won it that scored, so I'm going to go Karoma. He doesn't strike me as a man who scores many headers. So yeah, Karoma.
It was indeed Josh Karoma.
My mate Josh there, good lad.
Dug you out. John, what number are we going for? Mr. Voldepotter, what number?
Sorry, cut out there. Number 4.
We've had number 4, so you can have anything apart from 3, 4, and 6.
Number 5. That's the 3 there. Number 5.
Number 5. Town's first match of the season was against Peterborough. Who got Town's season up and running with the first goal in the 36th minute?
Anthony Evans with a volley into the ground.
It was Anthony Evans. That's another 2 points for the runaway leaders of the Jonathan Hoggwarts School of Quizidry. Okay, next up we have Team Venice Chris Beech and Mr. Gillespie. I believe you're the first one up here. So you can have 1, 2, 7, or 8. So Jonny Gillespie, 1, 2, 7, or 8.
So I know it's a killer. 7.
Number 7. Town lost one league game in August. Who was that to?
Rotherham.
It was indeed Rotherham.
Shocking. The start of the shocking refereeing, that wasn't it, from League One?
Was, yeah. Mr. Silk, 1, 2, or 8.
I need to dig one out from somewhere.
Back to your roots. Who scored the first ever goal for Huddersfield Town in the 3-0 League Cup win over Morecambe?
First ever. Their first ever goal
for Huddersfield Town.
3-0
for Huddersfield Town.
Won it, and it'd have been beat. It'd have been reserves.
Ish. Fringe.
Marshall. They'll probably joined us by then. He were playing early doors.
It was indeed Callum Marshall. Well done. So 4 points for
Go on, Jonny.
Team
We're in,
Venice
Jonny.
Chris
We're back.
Beech. All pressure and eyes go to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtons now. Question 1 or 2, Josh? You're on mute, mate.
Sorry, 2.
Number 2. Huddersfield Town signed left wing back Mikel Miller from which club?
Plymouth.
It was indeed Plymouth. Well done.
Finally got one.
Question 1, Joel. Which striker did Town chase all summer for him to come to Canalside to then have to turn around and go to a higher bidder?
Sorry, Matt, you cut out. What was the end of the question?
Question 1. Which striker did Town chase all summer for him to then come to Canalside, but before signing, turn round, go to the higher bidder?
Alfie May.
It was indeed Alfie May. So well done to everyone there. I think that might be max points all round. Right, we'll go over to the Danny Williams Eggplanters. Jerry, pick a number between 1 and 8.
Oh, Lord. 3.
Number 3. Jurassic Kyle Hudlin joined who on loan in August?
That's Newport.
Correct. That's another one for Jerry.
That's it,
Deal. Jerry's on a roll now. How about you?
Finally.
What number?
I'll go number 4, please.
Number 4. This is a good one. Town lost 1 out of 7 friendlies. Who was that loss against? So this pre-season friendlies.
Limassol.
Correct, Neil. Neil's on fire here.
Yes.
Aris Limassol is the correct answer. Certainly moving his own Aris into a good position. Okay, so the topic for pre-season August, we're going to go back to Team Venice Chris Beech and Jonny and Killer. Pre-season, Town only lost 1 game out of 7 against to Limassol, which Neil got right there. Decent pre-season and the summer window as well. Just talk us through your thoughts on the summer transfer window, Town's business, ins and outs, and then how pre-season went in general. And we'll start with Killer.
I feel like this is all a settlement. I think you've given us this topic so we can go back over my prediction for our Town seasons. We're going to go after pre-season. I feel like I've been thrown under the bus here, Matt, a little bit. Pre-season under Duff, straight away, it felt refreshing, didn't it? Like I think you've abused Jonny Matt quite a bit here, Matt, and I think I need to stand up and defend him with your bald quips. I feel like you've crossed the line so much, but.
Is it because you're joining
him
soon?
I'm weeks away from Turkey, mate. That's where I'm heading shortly. But with the way it ended under Brighton Writer, we were all sick of it. We were all absolutely sick of it. None of us wanted to see the games. We all wanted to go. Duff came in, had a few press conferences, and we were back on board, weren't we? With the U-turn in ticket prices for season tickets, everyone got back into the stadium. Again, if Alfie May comes through the door, it's even better. It didn't happen, but there was a little bit more intent there from Kevin Nagel, where he had his first proper summer where we could spend. And okay, we didn't spend massively, but we spent enough. We brought in enough players, I think, that excited us. It seemed like we'd learned a little bit, like with Evans coming in, a player that had done it at League One before, was proven at this level. Looking at that, and we got rid of a few players that had kind of maybe not on first team wages, but are on those kind of fringe players. Like Josh Osterfield went out, didn't he? And Scott High obviously went out on loan. There were a few moves with people going to Sacramento, as we know, and then there was we had a few extra issues with Keane Harrett, but there was just the signings looked good pre-season. The games map looked okay. The Limassol game was awful. There was a few warning signs there, and the worry was going into the season, not necessarily the ability of the players, but if the mental side of it had recovered at all. But it didn't take long, did it? A few games in, we beat Hertha Berlin away. I say away. It was 2-1 in Austria, wherever we were in the friendlies. And we beat Lecce. Is it Lecce? Lecce? We beat them 2-1 as well. So even though Limassol didn't go too well, there were a couple of games after there where we did when it looked all right. Against the dross like Emily and Geisley, we were pumping them. I think 7-0, one of them, 11-0, 11-1 was another one. They were just good results all around. And going into the first game of the season, it felt like something might have changed a little bit. And then that first game, Matt, was probably the best first game to a season we've had since the first year in the Premier League. I've absolutely no way we've got such a wonderful 3-0 win away from home, and straight away, I feel sorry for myself for my 7th in the league prediction being clearly wrong on that moment. But everyone else has kind of stepped up and got a little bit more excited, and it's all down to me, to Michael Duff. I think he really managed to do quite a lot of work, and maybe Cartwright's to thank for this as well over the summer to get us going straight away from the off, because Town don't normally start very quickly, but we did this season in August, and it was a nice end to a pre-season that most of us, I think, could consider very positive and better than any of us could have expected with the way they ended under Brighton writer.
Say that too, Jonny? He's nodding in agreement there.
Yeah, I'm just amazed that Killer's not mentioned probably the player who won pre-season, if you could give a award to, which was Ben Wiles, wasn't it? He couldn't stop scoring and putting the ball in the back of net in pre-season. But yeah, just to echo what Killer said there, I think there's a lot of. During the last time Town came down from a division pre-show to Premier League, but we didn't start. We started pretty shockingly. It never really ended, did it? And there was a lot of players. I don't think we quite saw the players out that we thought we were going to see. A lot of players stayed, be that because the bids didn't come in, be that because the contracts are on the age. So yeah, we had some good players come in, which did freshen up, but we kept a lot of players. And if you've got a lot of players who are used to losing, not necessarily bad attitude, but are kind of not in the right headspace mentally, it's been a tough couple of seasons, but eventually gone down. It was quite a job. Sometimes freshening up with numbers could help with that. You kind of like go again, but you had to turn a lot of players, not kind of attitude again, but more like headspace and mentality around. Right from pre-season, it was we some of those games were quite challenging. Limassol was a little bit shocking, but outside of that, we played some reasonable teams and we played well, and we played differently. There was the way we were looking to play and move with the wing backs and move the ball around and pass the ball, something we hadn't seen for years in midfield. Players took to it quite quickly. So again, I think it is definitely an accolade to Duff that he managed to get that across really, really well. And again, the players that came in, it seemed to be round pegs for round holes. They fit spaces that we need. I know when I think we almost did like a rate the transfer window back in late August, September. I think we were all kind of like up at 7 and 8s, and all kind of said we had have got that strike, and we'd probably be looking to give it a 10. So I think off season, the club, be it the powers that be, or be it Duff or the players looking at themselves, kind of did everything they could do to put us in a position to fight right from day one, and we can kind of analyse that a little bit easier now as we sit here in January. And I think they definitely did that. And if it wasn't for kind of a little bit of bad luck or referee decisions or just horrendous injuries, we could be even higher than we are. But I think we'd all probably have taken where we were if we asked ourselves in May last year, given how bad it was when we actually dropped out of the division.
Right, thanks for that, Jonny and Killer. That means that after round 5, we have out in front the Jonathan Hoggwarts School of Quizidry with 8 points. In second place, the Danny Williams Eggplanters with 6. Team Venice Chris Beech in third with 5. And then with 4 points, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtons as we head into round 6 and the September and October months. Right, up now is the Danny Williams Eggplanters. Let's go with Neil. Let's fast forward. Neil, what number? 1 to 8.
Number 5, please.
Number 5. Who came off the bench to assist Ben Wiles in Town's home league game against Barnsley, which was then the catalyst to turning Town's whole season around?
Karoma.
Is incorrect. The answer was Herbie Kane.
Herbie Kane.
Jerry.
Oh, he did. The Barnsley fans were seething. Brilliant.
Jerry, pick a number.
Let's see. Have we done 8? Let's do 8.
Number 8. So Jerry crossed the Mersey. Oh, Jerry, this is unfortunately me being a complete narcissist here. Question 8. Town beat Exeter City 2-0 on the 26th of October. My son Charlie was mascot that day. Which player did he walk out with?
Oh, gosh.
You're not friends with
We
Facebook.
talked about this. It was somebody who you said was very cool about it later.
He was brilliant, yeah. He's probably when you look at him and watch him play, he's probably the most laid back and coolest person in the whole team.
Okay, well, there's a little bit of a hint. I guess. Yeah, I remember talking about this, but I don't really remember who it was. I'm going to say Michal Helic.
It was Nigel Lonvijk.
Lonvijk! I was in the right part of the team.
In the right area. From Neil and Mr. Hinnon 2. Next, we're going to go with Killer and Jonny again, I think. Jonny, pick a number, but you cannot pick 5 and 8.
2.
Number 2. Jonny, in the months of September and October, Town came up against one of their former managers in September. Who was it?
No idea. I do kind of think of even to hazard a guess.
I'll give you 5 seconds.
No. I think you gave me 50 seconds. No. I'm going to have to say pass.
Who are we playing tomorrow?
I'm going to kick myself and say it. Oh, Bruce.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't give you that one. Killer, pick a number between 1 and 7, not including 2 and 5.
Go 3. Let's go 3.
Number 3, this is a good one. Killer, what statistical anomaly happened for the first time since the 5th of March 2021 when Huddersfield Town played Northampton?
We win a penalty at home.
We did win a penalty at home for the first
time. Oh, we won a penalty at home, didn't we? Oh,
we did. That. There we go. Huddersfield Town won a penalty at home. A point for the Silkman. Okay, next up, we're going to go with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtons. Josh and Joel, you can have 1, 4, 6, or 7, and I think we're going to go with Josh first.
6.
Number 6. Josh, who burst into tears after putting the game to bed against Bristol Rovers?
Bojan?
It was Bojan Radulovic, yes, who did seemingly cry when he put the ball in from a yard or so.
I cry watching him.
Yeah. Joel, 1, 4, or 7?
1, please.
Number 1. Town played 6 times in September. How many of those games did we win?
1.
Correct. It was 1 against Bolton. So well done, Joel. That moves you up. So you guys are starting to motor now. Mr. McNamara, question 4 or 7?
Number 7 for me, please, Hagrid.
Number 7. Town's last league defeat was back in October. Who scored the goal to put us to the sword?
Oh, that was against Birmingham, wasn't it? Alfie May, Mr. Sitter. Stansfield.
It was Alfie May.
Oh, of course it was.
Poz, the last question. Who made their seasonal debut for Huddersfield Town against Reading? So first performance of the first game of the season.
No idea. I don't know. Matty Pearson scored. I was going to say Matty Pearson because I don't remember him doing much before that game, but he scored in that game, didn't he? So I'm going to guess Matty Pearson.
That was not Matty Pearson's first game for Huddersfield Town that season, but it was Jacob Chapman's. So,
Joking now.
Let's go down to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtons. Josh, you had the question there with Bojan crying. Town striking woes. Do you think they're now solved and at an end with the acquisition of Taylor and Charles?
Hopefully. It's hard to say until they play a few in it because, you know, we've signed players before that really look really exciting, but until you actually see them, what they're going to look like on the pitch for you, it's hard to say for definite. But yeah, hopefully you'd think so, wouldn't you? Like they both score goals and we're creating chances, so you'd think like in theory it should work. My only fear is we might lack a bit of height up there. If we've got Taylor, Marshall, Charles, and Karoma and Healy as like your first five strikers, then you've got Bojan and Ladapo, who, bless them. They're not. I don't want to see them starting, but they're the only two with any height. So, but I've got a little feeling that Karoma might leave in this window. I might be wrong, but it wouldn't surprise me if he left. And if he did leave, I'd like to see us get someone with a bit more physical presence to complement the others.
What do you reckon, Joel?
Yeah, I mean, I think we.
Joel, you've got physical presence, been 6'5", so could you do the job?
No, I'm more of a Radulovic type, unfortunately. I think. It's interesting, really, because as Josh said, you don't really know until you see them play. But all the stats and, goal figures, which is obviously the most important, point towards them being good, being a solution to our very, very obvious problem. They've both scored plenty of goals in League One. Obviously, Joe Taylor's only really had half a season playing in League One, but 19 games, 10 goals, 3 assists. It's a brilliant return. Dion Charles has scored 10, 15 plus for the past 3-4 seasons in League One, so you know exactly what you're getting with him. I think there's obvious concerns about the lack of height, but I think that's quite an obvious thing. And if that was something, Michael Duff and Mark Cartwright were genuinely concerned about, they would have bought someone with a little bit of height and physical presence. Taylor and Charles aren't pushovers. They're both quite strong given their size. So they should still be able to hold the ball up if it's played into their feet and whatever. But I just think you're getting two strikers who know where the back of the net is, albeit Dion Charles has a bit of a howler in him. But they know where the back of the net is. They're fast, they're strong, they make the right sort of runs, which should bring the best out of players like Anthony Evans, Ben Wiles, Herbie Kane. And at the end of the day, we've spent quite a lot of money bringing two players to the club who have got very, very good reputations, and that's exciting for me.
Right, so at the end of round 6, things are tightening up a little bit, unlike Kevin Nagel's purse strings. So, out in the lead is the Jonathan Hoggwarts School of Quizidry with 8 points. And then in second, we've got a tie. The Danny Williams Eggplanters, Team Venice Chris Beech, and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtons are all on 6. Okay, let's move into the penultimate round, which is November. And we're going to start with Team Venice Chris Beech and Mr. Gillespie.
1.
Number 1. Town lost 1-0 at Tamworth on the 1st of November, live on the BBC, to the shame of Michael Duff, who has never let that go since. What was the name of the Tamworth player who threw the ball in the box to create that shambles of a goal?
I mean, I was there, not that helps. And I obviously watched him at the weekend as well. But,
It's a great name for a player if he could smack one in from 30 yards.
It's like Bodden as well. I can't.
Thunder Bastard.
No, it's not. It's not like it's just like it's like Bodden or something like that. But yeah, I'm not gonna.
You're not gonna get it. It's Tommy Tonks.
Tommy Tonks. If there's a non-league, it's like out of a book, that isn't it? Tommy Tonks.
It sounds like Mike Bassett, is it, with Tonka, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Drop Tonka.
Killer, pick a number.
I'll throw in number 2. Let's go for number 2.
Number 2. Oh, this is a tough one, Killer. Town came back twice to draw against Crawley. Before the game, ex-Town player Scott Malone seemed to mysteriously disappear, according to the Crawley fans, from the club. Speaking of ex-players, 2 goalkeepers have played for both Town and Crawley. Can you name either one of them for a point?
I'll tell you, that's a little bit tougher than some of the questions there, Matt. I'll be honest. I'll be honest with that one.
I did warn you.
Which keeper we had to play for Crawley? This must be recent, because I don't think Crawley have been relevant for very long, have they?
One of them's recent, one of them's in 2006, although he didn't play for Town then.
I've got absolutely no idea. So I'm going to chuck in someone like Simon Eastwood, someone who went down the leagues.
It's a really good guess, but it's not right. It's Ryan Schofield and Ben Hamer. There we go. It was a good effort. I'll give you that nonetheless. Right, moving on. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mr. Granger.
We'll keep it moving in order. I'll go for 3.
Number 3. What was the attendance between Crawley and Huddersfield Town? I will give you 500 either way. I did that earlier with Jerry, so I'll do the same with you.
I'm going to go 4,000.
He's not quite right. It was 4,752, and it was Killer Scoot. It was 4,752, so unfortunately I can't give you that because you're a couple of hundred now. Josh.
What are the options? Sorry.
Josh, you could have 6, 7, or 8.
7.
Number 7. The last time Town played at Leyton Orient prior to this season, we won 3-1. Who scored a hat-trick that day?
Rhodes.
It was indeed Jordan Rhodes, so that keeps you moving up. Hogwarts. Let's go with Poz first. You can have number 6 or number 8.
Let's go 6, please, Matthew.
That was the easier one of the 2.
Thank you.
Town went to Leyton Orient and won 2-0 this month. Who missed a penalty for Town that day?
Oh, it's my mate again, isn't it? Mr. Karoma.
It's Josh Kerr. The final question for Mr. Voldepotter. Town lost in the FA Cup to Tamworth, as we've just covered. What is the name of the Tamworth ground where this debacle took place?
Oh my good God. I have no idea. I'm going to pick something that sounds non-league. Moor Lane.
It's the Lamb Ground. Randomly the Lamb Ground. I'm like, what the... Okay, so the topic for this month in November was Michael Duff, and we'll go over to the Danny Williams Eggplanters for comment. Okay, Danny Williams Eggplanters, and it's Jerry's turn to be up first. Jerry, pick a number between 1 and 8.
4.
Number 4. You'll like this one, Jerry.
Okay.
Although it's more of a question for someone who can spot whoppers, in fairness. But question 4. Huddersfield Town beat Charlton 2-1, with the general consensus amongst Town fans that Charlton manager Nathan Jones is a bell end. Mm-hmm. Who was? Do I need to explain what a bell end is to an American, or are you okay with that?
I figured it out.
Good. It's the end. What an end of a bell looks like something on the human anatomy, but never mind.
Yes.
Who was the previous bell end in the dugout when Town last played Charlton and won 4-0?
The previous Charlton manager when Town beat Charlton 4-0. Also a bell end, apparently.
Oh, huge one. Throbbing.
Monumental.
Jeez.
With a purple... No, I'm going too far. so children... There's kids listening to this from time to time.
I mean, when I think opposing managers of this ilk, I'm going to say Gary Monk.
It's Lee Bowyer, one of the biggest whoppers to ever visit the John Smith Stadium.
Correct.
Right, Neil, pick a number.
Well, I know which one's not to ask for. Number, I'll go 4. Let's go 4.
That's what Jerry picked, so we'll have to pick another one.
5.
Number 5. Who got Town's winner in the 2-1 win over Charlton?
Pearson. Matty Pearson scored against them. But what it winner? No, that was Kasumu as well.
That was David Kasumu. Well done, Neil.
Yes. Daisy Cutter won it.
Yeah. Right, boys.
Sorry, Neil.
So at the end of this month, November, things are turning round for Huddersfield Town just a little bit. And the man who's turning this round and got Huddersfield out of their funk, because Town lost 7 in 8 across all platforms, didn't they? So from that to going unbeaten in November, how much credit do you give Michael Duff for the turnaround? And what kind of job is Michael Duff doing for you boys?
All of it, to be honest. Gets all the credit. To follow the shit show that it has been for so long and come in and do what he's done. He's turned round a squad that looked disinterested, that didn't even look like they liked each other. He's turned them into a team who look like they actually love each other now. A phenomenal effort, really phenomenal effort. I think we got excited at the start, good win at Peterborough, etc., and thinking this is going to go somewhere. Then we had that horrible spell. But when you look back at this run, 15, 16 games now, the only real disaster in amongst all that was obviously the Tamworth one. But when they're doing what they're doing elsewhere, I think you can forgive that. Just an unreal job, and I even like listening to his press conferences, and I can't say that about many managers recently. He actually just talks. He talks sense. He don't give you any bullshit. He talks sense. It's straightforward. He's straight talking, and can imagine if he's like that with players. Players love honesty, and if he's like that with players, which he clearly is, he's clearly got them on side. He's done an unreal job, and the wish at the start of January that he got backed, and in fairness, other than Eric leaving, to go and back in buying Taylor and Dion Charles, a bit of a wild card one thrown in, both for big money. Fair play to Nagel for doing that. But yeah, all the credit to Duff, and he deserves that backing.
Go on, Jerry.
Yeah. When you think about not just the previous season where they got relegated, but the season before that, which, they needed, frankly, a miracle from Neil Warnock to stay up. So we're talking about back-to-back seasons of this same core of players, Pearson, Hogg, Lees, the same group of players who lost over and over and over and over again. And then you come back this season, as Neil mentioned, get off to the good start, and then you hit that rough patch. And it's very easy for me to imagine how a lot of managers, when faced with this team that's so used to losing, it's one thing when things go well, and you're sort of riding high, it's easy to keep that going. When you've got a team that's become so accustomed to losing the last few years, to have that dip, right? They lost to Northampton, they lost that game at Blackpool to home where, they just never felt like they were in that one. And it felt like, oh, well, we're going to get back in that rut, right? Where all the players just say, well, it's not happening for us. We tried. It didn't work out. We're back to the way things used to be. And yeah, it's League One instead of the championship, but it doesn't matter what division you're in. Changing that mindset is an extremely difficult thing to do. And for Duff to do it, not just, a little bit, but so spectacularly, where we're talking about winning, being undefeated 15-16 and being that hard to beat. Again, to contrast with last season where one goal would go in. I think about that game, I think it was against Preston, where it was 0-0 at halftime. Relegation is very clearly on the table, and they give up one, and then the Osmaich, I think it was, scores a hat trick in the last 10 minutes because, the whole thing falls apart like a sandcastle that's getting hit by the tide, right? This Huddersfield Town squad got hit by the wave, right? We built a little castle at the beginning of the season. It got hit by the wave, and this time they just rebuilt it. They didn't fall apart. It wasn't like that Preston game. It wasn't like last season. That starts with Michael Duff. In some ways, it ends with Michael Duff. This team is so much mentally stronger than they have been in years. And again, it's easier playing Exeter. It's easier playing, Shrewsbury and Stevenage, et cetera, than, Norwich and all the teams in the championship. But again, that mental strength has nothing to do with the opposition. It has to do with what's happening in that locker room. It has to do with who the manager is and the way the team is responding to what he's bringing to the table with them. And it's been great to see, and I totally agree with Neil. I think Huddersfield Town had an underrated summer. I think they brought in a lot of very strong players. They are building out the kind of squad where even if things maybe don't work out this season, which I think they will in terms of promotion, they'll have a good shot to do it again. But the best thing they did this summer was hire Michael Duff. Everything starts right there. It was great to see the club sort of learn from their mistake, right? They hired Andre Breitenreiter. They had the guy from overseas with the fancy resume, and that didn't work. And they said, okay, well, we're not doing that again. We're going to hire the guy who's done it at this level, who has proven himself, that he can navigate a League One season. And it's been everything I think we could have hoped and more.
On fire with the topics this week, Jerry. Maybe not so much the questions. Okay, so we're coming up to the last round. So the penultimate round, the scores on the doors are out. In the lead, we have the Jonathan Hoggwarts School of Quizidry with 9. In joint second, we have the Danny Williams Eggplanters with 7 and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtons. And in last place is Team Venice Chris Beech. The Housewives are slightly disappointed as those boys have 6 points and are in last. So let's move into our final round. And seeing as though they're in last place, we'll go with Team Venice Chris Beech. And we'll go with Jonny.
7.
Number 7 for Mr. Gillespie. Who was the former Town Academy product playing wingback for Mansfield when we won there this month? So who was the former Town Academy product playing wingback for Mansfield when we won there this month?
Yeah, I definitely peaked too early on this quiz. I don't think I clocked former Town player on Mansfield.
Yeah, Poz is pointing to his watch. We'll have to give you a couple of seconds.
Yeah. No.
To be fair to Jonny, I don't think he's ever played it before, and I don't think he'll ever play it again, considering how bad he was in that game. I don't think
it's Town's only academy product. Town's only academy product at Mansfield. if that makes any better.
Yeah, I've definitely not clocked him, which is fine. Look, I always look for ex-Town players in most features I look at. But yeah, no.
It was Lucas Akins. Killer, pick a number.
Didn't register that.
Go 8. Let's go 8. We need this, Jonny, to not finish bottom. This to have a chance of not finishing bottom. But
it's history. Is this, Killer? Town won 4-0
Pressure
at Cambridge.
is on your shoulders, Killer. I've let you down.
So Town won 4-0 at Cambridge in December.
Right.
30 years prior to this, we went there and won 5-4. Who scored a hat-trick that day? I have mentioned it recently.
Roberts.
Do you want to think about that for a second before you give the wrong answer?
30 years ago. Okay. Well, I wouldn't. Decisive, Matt. That's how I get myself into the positions that I found myself in at the moment with 7 kids. So, don't need much time to think, unfortunately.
Other things.
Was Ian Dunn?
He scored that day, but he didn't get a hat-trick. The hat-trick was scored by Phil Starbuck.
Okay.
So that means Killer and Jonny have finished. Okay, Danny Williams Eggplanters. We're into December, the final countdown to see who wins this quiz. Let's go with Neil first. Neil, pick a number.
Number 1, please.
Is Andy Booth. Okay. Question 1. Town beat Wigan 1-0 on the 3rd of December. Who scored the goal?
Ollie Turton.
Ollie Turton did score. It's another one for Neil. Jerry.
All right, we got to finish on a good note here. Let's go to number 3.
Number 3. This is a nice one, Jerry.
Okay.
Question 3. Which former Town player's son scored against us this month?
Which former Town player? Okay, the Town player is Danny Catamatari. Am I pronouncing that right? Okay.
That is correct.
I forget his son's first name, but I remember Danny's first name. So.
Bailey, but we were looking for Danny as the answer anyway, so that's perfect, Jerry. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtons, can you draw this match? You can have pick a number.
Who is it?
Josh. We'll go with Josh. Why not?
Okay.
So basically, you can have 2, 4, 5, or 6.
4.
Number 4. You should know this, Josh, because you were stood next to me. However, who was the man in the dugout receiving the jeers and abuse when Town travelled to Cambridge?
Sorry, you cut off, mate. I didn't quite catch that.
Question 4. Who was the man in the dugout receiving the jeers and abuse when Town travelled to Cambridge?
Gary Monk. What a wanker.
The Monk trumpet is the correct answer. Joel, to tie things up at the top, you can have 2, 5, or 6.
5, please.
Oh, this is a tough one. You sure you don't want to choose a different one?
No, back myself.
You're going to back yourself? All right. Elias Kachunga saw us again this month, and the love was still there between the fans and him. From who did we sign Elias Kachunga?
FC Ingolstadt.
Oh, he's backed himself and he's scored as well. That's a banger from Joel. Joel has equalised, which means
that's a top corner.
Voldepotter.
That's a top corner. Answer that.
So we're going to go to the Jonathan Hoggwarts School of Nonscraft and Quizidry. So,
a bit harsh. We've got a DBS here.
Sorry, Poz. I know you've got your DBS as well. Poz, pick a number. 2 or what's the other number here? 2 or 6?
We'll go 6.
Town drew 1-1 at home to Burton, meaning that we'd never beaten them at home. When we last played them in 2017, what was the score?
1-0.
It was 1-0. Poz has just nipped in and scored a winner there. Can Johnny Mac, can he put an exclamation mark on this? John, Town played Mansfield in gale force conditions. What was the name of the Mansfield keeper who should have been sent off for an assault on Josh Koroma?
Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't know, any opposition players. Just going to have to make up a League One sounding name. James.
It was Christy Pym. Oh, Mr. Pym. I think that's the American dad drink, isn't it? Yes. So, that means scores on the doors at the end. In last place, we have the cold-hearted handsome devils, Team Venice Chris Beech with a disappointing 6 points. The housewives are very disappointed. Maybe he should have got that Mrs. mug after all. He's waving his Mr. mug around. In joint second place, we have the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtons with Josh and Joel.
Good effort there.
9 points. And also in second place, we have Danny Williams Eggplanters with 9. But the winners and the champions, once again, because Mr. McNamara has absolutely wiped everybody with quizzes, haven't you, on Huddersfield Town when he's come on this podcast. We might have to have some kind of challenge for you. The winner are the Jonathan Hoggwarts School of Quizidry, and it's Dan Porritt and John McNamara. You boys are the champions. Well done. However, before we go, we do need some opinion on the January window and the sale of Michael Helic. Poz, you were a centre back, weren't you? Back in the good old days.
Back in the day, mate. Yeah.
Back in the day, what have you boys thought of the sale, which has gone through today? So we're recording on Friday the 17th. No promise of when this will be out, by the way. But what have you thought about the sale? Because from my point of view, it was too old now, aren't you, to do sort of favourite players and stuff like that. You know, I think we're a little bit past that point, aren't we? But for me, Helic was if you had to pick one, if you had to put me on the spot, I'd probably have said Michael Helic. I think, Player of the Year last 2 years running. You think of that incredible block that he did against QPR last year, which was phenomenal. When you went through all the stats and what have you, Michael Helic was in the consistently for 2 years in the top couple of centre backs for clearances, tackles and whatnot, and winning duels. And he's maybe not been at his best this season, but he looked like he was just about getting back into it, wasn't he? Before he got sick last week, and he was ill last week, and it wasn't a conspiracy. I'm sure some people will float that. But so I'm disappointed, understanding with the contract situation, but still disappointed. But I mean, when you look at the window as a whole, they've got the 2 strikers in and the left wing back, which we needed, and it's not been too bad, Poz, really. Well, it's been good. It's been excellent. I think it's just today's just kind of made you go from like 100 back a bit and just go, oh.
Yeah, I think if you'd have asked anybody if you'd have done a straight swap for Helic for a second striker coming in, I think obviously we were always going to get one, weren't we? It were obvious, and then I think Danny Ward's injury kind of forced us into getting that second one, and obviously with funds being as they are, you sometimes do have to let someone go to bring someone in. I think the timing, as you say, Matt, has probably just deflated people a little bit, so it probably seems a little bit worse than maybe what it is. I think Helic were a good defender, or a solid defender. Obviously great at the other end as well, scoring. So, hopefully we don't miss his goals too much, as well as his kind of like defensive ability. But I've seen a lot of comments on Twitter about and other social media about saying we should be building for the Championship, and if we're doing that, we should be trying to keep people like Michael Helic. And I kind of take a look at that and think, well, Michael Helic's played in Championship for Barnsley and Town, and both times he's been relegated. So if we're building a team for the Championship, should we be looking at
the players for Barnsley? I'll throw them.
Yeah, it did. To be fair, but that were prior to that. It were prior to relegation. I want it, so you could argue that it's kind of gone downhill from there. But you can't use that as a stick to beat the club with if we're wanting better than Michael Helic to fight in the Championship. So I think Duff let slip that they'd triggered a contract extension with him that were kind of had gone under the radar. So maybe that's why that was done, knowing that bids were kind of expected in January to make sure we got a fee. If so, you've kind of got to say fair play to the club and obviously Helic for signing that deal. There's rumours that he's been wanting out from summer onwards, so obviously keen to get back playing internationally, or to try and play international, where if you're playing in League One, you're probably going to get overlooked for that. So I can understand it from Helic's point of view. I did think Oxford were potentially a strange choice. I think he ideally would have wanted to go higher up the table than Oxford, but I think looking at their position, I think they sit sort of 16th, 17th, 18th around that area, so they're by no means destined to be relegated. So if he can stay up with them and have a steady progress next season, it does put himself back in the window for Poland, and potentially is it World Cup next? I think it is. So he's got to go there and impress. And he's one of those players that he'll leave and go with everybody's best wishes. I don't think he ever did out at Huddersfield Town that you could really criticise. He's been a professional the whole time he's been here, from what I can remember. So yeah, it's just one of those things. Isn't it? Sometimes in football you've got to sell players that you might not want to sell, but if it's enabled us to strengthen the squad overall, you've got to say it's an understandable bit of business. So yeah, thank you for your service and good luck to you is what I would say.
Are you, John?
Yeah, so first of all, I just want to say that obviously it weakens us losing Michal Helik. And like Poz and like everyone else, I was a little bit shocked to see him go to Oxford at first, but then when I sat back and thought about it, whilst Helik has been a superb player for us, I think he probably suits a team, excluding that season with Barnsley when they got to the playoffs, he probably suits a team that plays with the ball with a play in front of them rather than a play behind them. So if he was going to move to a championship team, I think he was always going to move to a championship team that were slightly lower down the table or towards the middle of the table. I couldn't see him going to a team that played really front foot, free-flowing attacking football on the high line. And I suppose a Gary Rowett team at Oxford kind of suits him. I have heard that they're very well backed, and if they stay up this season, they're going to hope to build on that. But I suppose it's one of those things. Yes, it does weaken us. He's undoubtedly one of the best centre-backs in League One, or was one of the best centre-backs in League One, but we're very, very well stocked in that area. And I was on Down at the Mecca, and there's a lot of people panicking about it, but it's easy to forget that we didn't have Helik for a long period of this unbeaten run. And there were parts of the season where he looked dodgy. I mean, let's not forget he scored an own goal, just passing back to Lee Nichols and went straight to the back of the net. But yeah, so as I say, it does weaken us. But I'd rather lose Michael Helik and get a little bit of money than lose someone like Ben Wiles or someone that we really, really need. Because I do think we've got the backup there to cover him.
No, fair enough. I think Poz mentioned building for the championship and stuff, and I think with the way Michael Duff likes to play, ideally he likes a high back line, and that means pace at the back. And whereas Michael Helik isn't, I wouldn't class him as slow by any chance. I don't think he's fast, but he's maybe a little bit quicker than Lees and Pearson. But if he could build a back three from scratch, I don't think he would pick Michael Helik to be within that. So maybe going forward,
he's got that deficiency in his game as well. He just drops too deep, and to the 6-yard line when he's defending crosses and cutbacks and stuff. And that's not an ideal trait for a centre back for a team that's looking to go and dominate the ball and do things. I
think that's a fair point, Matt. Sorry, just to jump in again about him building a back three, because if I remember rightly from Joel's little graphic that he put together in regards to contracts, I think Lees and Pearson are out a contract, so you're probably looking at Bolker and then 2 new centre halves next season anyway. So regardless of division, we're going to have to look at that back three. So if we can move Helik on now, then it makes sense to do so.
And that's it. I think we'll say congratulations to Mr. McNamara and Mr. Porritt for the Jonathan Hoggwarts School of Quizidry are the champions. And what we'll do is we will be back with a main review show on Monday, if I don't get this out in time, or may decide to send this out at some other completely random point in time. But thanks everyone for listening to us waffle on. That was 2024. Hopefully 2025 brings a lot more joy.
There's a team that is dear to its followers. The colours are bright blue and white. They're a team of renown. They're the pride of the town, and the game of football is their delight. And all the while upon the field of play, thousands loudly cheer them on the way. Often you can hear them say, who can beat the town today? And then the bells will ring so merrily, and every goal shall be a memory. So town, play up and bring that cup back to Huddersfield. So town, play up and bring the cup back to Huddersfield.